Ken Trahan with Lenny Vangilder. It's our first NBC Bank Weekend Review, brought to you by First NBC Bank with 32 locations throughout the greater New Orleans area and beyond. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNola.com. Saints win their dress rehearsal, going to Indianapolis and getting a win over the Colts. And, of course, Drew Brees returned with a flourish, played extremely well. Jarvis Byrd played and distinguished himself well. First-team unit looking good overall, sans a few penalties and one busted coverage defensively.
All in all, you got to be impressed with how the ones played. Maybe a little bit concerned that the second and third teamers didn't produce as much. What was interesting to me is if this is the one time we saw Drew Brees, is he truly doing enough, playing less than a quarter, as it were, to be ready for the season opener, September 7th at Atlanta? Or might we see him a little bit on Thursday night in Game 4 just because of the unique situation that he didn't play the first two games because of the oblique? That's one of those things we probably won't find out until they walk out on the field Thursday night. But, as Drew Brees brought up in the post-game presser, it's not so much about playing quarters, it's about the number of snaps, and the offense got 24 snaps in the first quarter. So he had the ball 3 times, drove the team down to 2 touchdowns, looked very good doing it. So perhaps that is going to be all we see of Brees until they put him on for real on September 7th.
I would think that would be the case as well, given the nature of who he is and what he can command. And the bottom line is get to the starting gate without any significant injuries. The one concern right now, really 2 concerns I would think, would be Kenny Stills with the quad, which he re-injured in the game at Indianapolis. And, of course, the absence of Eric Lorig, who was supposed to be your starting fullback. Austin Johnson's done a nice job, but Lorig was a big offseason acquisition.
Yeah, basically you made the swap there to sign Lorig, let Collins walk, but Austin Johnson, in his stead, has done a nice job. Caught a touchdown pass from Brees in the first series, and if you need to do something short term there, if Lorig is in a situation where he might miss some of the early part of the season, perhaps Johnson steps up and does that. It's really a next man up thing. You hear it so many times in the NFL, but it's true. They'll put the next guy out there.
With regard to LSU and Tulane, of course, their season's getting set to get started. Tulane at Tulsa, and of course an emotional return to Tulsa for the Green Wave and for Devon Walker, who suffered that debilitating injury there 2 years ago. What a remarkable story that the young man wants to return to the scene of such a terrible situation. And basically, Lenny, he wants to do so maybe in the back of his mind to face demons, but I think more than that, as Curtis Johnson said at the New Orleans Quarterback Club, he wants to thank people for helping to save his life.
Right. You got to remember, he spent the next 10 days after that injury in a hospital in Tulsa before he ended up in Atlanta for 3 months of rehab before finally returning to New Orleans. And this would be his first chance to go back. It's his team's first chance to go back. Tulsa came here last year. And he's starting work on his master's this fall as well. He's a remarkable young man, and it truly is. It's all the more remarkable that he wants to go do this, and they're going to be accommodating to a line to do this. He's going to get honored between quarters. Apparently, going to have a video tribute on the board there in Tulsa to honor him, so to speak, and recognize him for how many people he's inspired. And look, don't let this get lost on you. I think a lot of the reason that this team won 7 games last year was the inspiration of Devon Walker. Of course they played better, but that can't go lost on all of this. And that's, inspiration can be wherever it comes from, can be a true power for you.
LSU, of course, against Wisconsin at Reliant Stadium in Houston. And you got to believe that Jennings will be the quarterback. You got to believe that Harris will play. You got to believe a lot of young players will play. Trey Quinn, perhaps Malachi Dupree, certainly Leonard Fournette, among others. And this game figures to be a battle of wills between 2 teams that want to run the football right at you.
Exactly. That's what both of these teams do well. You want to say that's what they're known for, at least offensively. But in spite of that, it has the potential to be a high-scoring game. Wisconsin has named their starting quarterback, at least via reports. LSU has not, although, like you said, I think we would expect that it would be the veteran, if you will, in Jennings, as opposed to the freshman Harris getting the first snap on Saturday night. But in spite of those 2 running styles, like I say, it could be a game that ends up, winner scores in the 30s.
A lot of Jamboree highlights and stories from last week in high school football. Of course, not Jamborees, but scrimmages, I should say. We have Jamborees coming up this weekend, and we'll have a whole lot of those for you at sportsnola.com, including some great stories on the Jamborees that we have a chance to witness. First broadcasts on radio this weekend from the West Bank Optimist Jamboree on Friday as our high school football coverage kicks off in earnest. And we look forward to it. We hope you'll be part of it. Of course, the first NBC Bank Prep Showcase goes along with that.
Yeah, exactly. You'll be able to watch live on sportsnola.com Friday night, 6 o'clock from Thibodaux, from Nicholls State, where the inaugural Brothers of the Sacred Heart Jamboree, Brother Martin, Holy Cross, Vanderbilt Catholic, E.D. White. So 4 Catholic schools getting together down on the bayou, and it should be an entertaining evening of football.
We look forward to that. It should be a great weekend. Football's here. We're thrilled. Lenny, as always, thank you. And check out the Greater New Orleans Quarterback Club video. First meeting of the year. It was a good one with a full house from the Cannery. Check it out. SportsNola.com. Thanks, Lenny.
We'll see you later this week.
That's our First NBC Bank Weekend Review, brought to you by First NBC Bank with 32 locations throughout the Greater New Orleans area and beyond. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNola.com. For Lenny, I'm Kenny. Have a great week, and God bless you.